So, how are you feeling about your exams? Calm, confident, under control? Or do you feel a bit sweaty and do you start to feel a bit sick? Do you start to worry that your brain's going to freeze or that you're going to forget everything? Well, don't worry, because today, in just 4 simple steps, we're going to go over my exam anxiety management strategy so you can feel calmer and do your best in your upcoming exams. Hi, I'm Lauenna and welcome to Study Calm, where I support you to become a calmer and more confident student. So step 1 is about understanding what is going on. Anxiety has a very physiological effect, and understanding that helps you to manage it. Now, of course, it's totally normal to feel nervous before an exam, and actually that can help a little bit with motivation and with focus. But when we really start to fear an exam, then we trigger the fight or flight response in the body. So our body starts to get pumped up, ready for action because, we think we might need to run or we might need to fight. We start using the part of our brain that's designed to deal with physically threatening situations, and not so much with remembering whatever we need to remember for this exam or figuring out how much time to spend on this question. Our nervous system is operating on a very base level, on a very old level, and it's really important to just acknowledge that. Oh, okay, I'm having an anxiety response. I've gone into my fight or flight system. That's what all of these symptoms are, and it's actually a false alarm. I don't need to fight, I don't need to run, I'm not under physical threat, I'm just sitting an exam. I just need to help myself calm down and focus on what I need to do. So step 1 is to acknowledge that anxiety is a nervous system response and that actually in this case it's a false alarm because we're not actually in danger. Step 2 is working with the breath. Now, one of the best tools you've got in your tool belt for anxiety management is working with the breath. And this is not just a flaky, just take a deep breath and calm down type advice. Anxiety, as we've discussed, is a physiological phenomenon. So it makes sense to have as part of our management strategy a physiological response. This is a technique that actually reverses the stress response. So in other words, it activates part of the nervous system that helps us calm down. And the way it works is this. When we are in fight or flight, we're doing short, sharp breaths into the chest, ready to pump the body full of oxygen, getting ready for action, which we don't need to do because we're actually in an exam. So what we need to do is long, slow breaths into the belly. So breathing in, filling up the belly full of air, and then really slow out breaths. Maybe breathing in for a count of 5 and out for a count of 7, because that helps readjust the oxygen-carbon dioxide ratio, which has got a little bit out of balance with us taking in more oxygen than we need. And I'm going to put a link to a video that really goes into a bit more detail on the breathing exercise in the description box below, so check that out afterwards. So step number 2 is about taking long, slow belly breaths, especially a longer out breath. But that's not all that's going on when you sit down in an exam and you start to panic. Just imagine yourself right now sitting down in the exam. What thoughts start going through your head? For example, do you think, I'm going to fail, I'm going to mess this up completely, I'm going to forget everything, my brain's going to freeze? Now, what effect do you think these stressy thoughts have on your nervous system? Do you think they trigger the stress response or the calming response? They stress you out, right? Imagine if you were sitting behind somebody in an exam, whispering that stuff in their ear. You're going to fail. You're going to forget everything. You would just increase their stress response. So if thoughts have the power to increase our stress response and stress us out, they also have the power to calm us down. And that's where we can harness the power of thoughts to help us feel calmer and more collected during an exam. So we need to notice those stressy thoughts when they come into our head and just replace them with something calmer, something more rational, something more reassuring. You can handle feeling nervous, it's normal. You got this, it's okay, you've prepared, don't worry about it. If your brain freezes, just stop, take some slow breaths and come back to that question later. Don't worry if you hit at a question that you don't know the answer to. You don't have to get everything right. If you've been doing okay in the past, it's probably very unlikely that you're going to fail. Even if you don't do so well on this exam, it is not the end of the world. So stress-inducing thoughts trigger the stress response, calming thoughts trigger the calming response. Which leads us nicely to step 4, which is about practice. So you need to practice noticing these negative thoughts when you come in. You'll be surprised when they pop up, and challenging them. So whenever you sit down to study, well, whenever a negative thought comes up, just notice it and challenge it with a calming, practical, reassuring thought. Noticing and challenging thoughts is a skill and it gets better with practice. Ideally, you would practice in as close to exam conditions as you can possibly get. So doing lots of past papers, under time conditions, really imagining that you're there in the exam hall to trigger the stress response that you'd normally feel and get used to managing it. Managing it with the thoughts and of course managing it with the breath. And I really recommend starting to practice this breath. Start doing it right now. Whenever you sit down to study, breathe into your belly and a long slow out breath. Whenever you feel that stress response starting, wherever you are in your life, just notice and start doing the breathing to start calming the body. And you can even do maintenance breathing, so even when you are not stressing out, if you're just trying to get to sleep, if you're on the bus on the way home from class, then just start doing the breathing and just get the nervous system used to calming down, because that way you're more likely to remember it when you're under stress on the exam day. So your new exam anxiety management strategy is: step 1, acknowledge what's going on and tell yourself that it's a false alarm. Step 2 is breathe slowly and into the belly. Step 3 is to notice the negative thoughts and to replace them with more helpful thoughts. And step 4 is practice, practice, practice. Don't forget to press like if you like this video. Please comment or leave a question in the comment section down below. I would love to hear from you. And don't forget to subscribe. Press that subscribe button so you don't miss my next video. But above all, please share this video with anybody who you think might benefit from it. So there might be classmates or friends who are going through exams, anybody who feels a bit nervous. This is a great anxiety management strategy. Please share the video. I would really appreciate that. So good luck with your revision, good luck in your exams, and I'll see you next time.